Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, August 21st. We got a lot of news to share with you. First, we got the Google ranking bug from this past Saturday. Google somewhat commented on that, so stay tuned for that information. Google Search Console launched new insights, which we covered a while ago, but Google actually confirmed it, so more information about that soon. Query-based image headers in the search results. Something really went bad with that. And there's more news on the Google Webmaster conference. And much, much more. So stay tuned, subscribe below, and let us know what you think. Stay tuned. All right, so like I said in my intro, hopefully you're still listening, basically there was something big that happened on August 15th, Saturday. It looks similar, but not exactly at all like the August 10th Google's, what we call the Google indexing system failure, which totally made the search results go crazy. If you didn't hear about that, check out last week's recap. But something big happened on August 15th, which was Saturday. It happened pretty much all day, but it fixed itself sometime around 9:30 Eastern PM Saturday night. I think it happened sometime early in the morning, maybe around 9 o'clock in the morning or so. And it was basically really bad search results again. Something went wrong, lots of chatter, but Google did not comment or confirm any of that. So I actually asked John Mueller about that a couple days later on his Webmaster Hangout, which he called Office Hours, and he basically said he doesn't have any details to share. Sometimes Googlers who notice issues will fix them and just not report back on them. So maybe it was something related to Google just fixing something and not reporting back on it. He has no more details to share about the Saturday potential issue, which he did not confirm. He just said there's nothing to share. And he has no more information to share around the indexing system failure, which we covered last week. So that was from John Mueller. Google also launched Google Search Console Insights. It's now live. We saw reports about this about several weeks ago, which we reported about. And now Google confirmed it by posting a tweet on Twitter about it, basically saying there's a new feature in Google Search Console called Google Search Console Insights, which gives basically publishers more information about their content. It kind of bridges Google Analytics data with Google Search Console data in more of a Search Console view. It's not live for everybody. It's a beta. I have it live for a couple sites, not the Search Engine Roundtable, but other sites. So it's very interesting to see. And it basically gives you some more information. I'll share some screenshots maybe below as we're talking. Google Search Console also added some new features around signed exchanges with AMP. So if you are using, basically a year or so ago, Google let you use your own real URL, publishers that could use their own real URL for certain browsers. So instead of showing the AMP cache URL, you can use your own domain name for serving up your AMP pages. But these are called through signed exchanges. It's basically a way for you to mask your URL by using a Google cache URL, but really using your own URL. Now Google could show you issues around signed exchanges with your AMP pages, so you want to see if your Google's having issues with that. So now AMP signed exchanges is supported in the AMP enhancement report in Google Search Console and also the URL inspection tool. So you can debug on a URL by URL basis, even in live mode, and you can also debug just to see what's going on in general. It will show you issues with that. Wild things from Google this week. Absolutely wild. I would never in my million years think Google would do this. Of course, maybe I'm naive, but basically Google launched customized query-based search headers when you did a search in Google. So if you just search for SEO ideas or creative ideas on mobile in some browsers, and at some point a couple days ago, Google would actually customize the background header of the Google search box to be an image from a licensed image provider. It was pretty interesting. You did flower ideas, ideas for Christmas, SEO ideas, tattoo ideas, ice sculpture ideas, workout ideas, and images would go right behind the background matching that query. Then SEOs got interested and people were sharing all these other things with me around maybe Google showing somewhat adult-oriented things like nudity ideas and stuff like that. And Google pulled down the feature once it started showing, once it realized that it would actually show some maybe adult suggestive images. And Google is no longer showing this right now. So it was just a test, and I guess maybe Google will bring it back. Google didn't say why they did this. They said it's more of like a fun thing. But some speculation is around kind of targeting Pinterest on some level. There you go. A lot of publishers, new publishers who have news websites have been complaining to me for the past couple months, basically saying Google News is no longer showing or has never shown their new website in Google News in the Google News tab. Not sure exactly what's going on. I know people are saying no new website that was a publisher-based website that was submitted into Google News through the Google News Publisher Center, which again, you don't need to submit your website to Google News anymore. After December, Google stopped requiring you to submit your site to Google News. Google News will just automatically figure out what should be in Google News. So maybe that's the issue. I'm not exactly sure. But a lot of publishers are saying, I have been unable to go ahead and create a new website specifically for Google News after December 2019 and get that to show up in Google News, in the Google News tab. A lot of complaints about this. Google is asking for more information, but has not confirmed any issues. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. If you are in that boat, you can definitely take a look at that thread. John Mueller said keywords in the URL have minimal impact on rankings. We knew that. But he did say one little caveat. If there is no content on the page, or Google's not able to index that content because of whatever reasons you're blocking it, Google, I guess the keywords in the URL will matter more. Very interesting, right? Google's John Mueller said header tags do not provide some magical pixie dust that will make your site rank better. Earlier in the week, there was a lot of chatter around headers and how important they are at H1s, H2s, H3s. For years and years, John Mueller said, no, they're not so important. They were basically downplaying over the years, and it's just not an important SEO ranking factor. It is somewhat of a ranking factor, but it's just not important. And then somebody came out basically saying, well, maybe they are important, but John Mueller said, really, just don't go crazy about it. It is what it is. The web is not marked up in general the way it should be. It's just a mess. So headers are great, but Google doesn't expect every site to have headers. Also, Gary from Google said, we do not want machine translated content in the index. So if you are using Google Translate or other tools, such as this, a lot of people are talking about GPT-3, which is a great translation tool. Basically, don't use that and not look at the content and publish it. You have to review the content manually by somebody who speaks that language. If you're not doing that, Google does not want that content in the index. There was a poll by Ruth that asked SEOs, do they consider doing accessibility, or do they consider accessibility when they're doing the SEO, when they're doing SEO? And 82% of the responses, there was a lot of responses, over almost 1,400 responses, 82% said they do on some level consider accessibility when doing SEO. 58% said they always consider it, 24% said they sometimes consider it, and about 13% said they never really consider it. Interesting, little tidbit there. Google uses a bunch of signals for canonicalization. John Mueller tweeted about it. Of course, they use redirects. They use things like internal links, external links. They use sitemaps, hreflang, canonical tags, and they also pick cleaner and shorter URLs and much more. So just to have a list of things that Google considers for canonicalization. Google expanded the search activity cards, which they launched about several months ago. Now they improved it with shopping, jobs, and recipe-related searches. So if you see those activity cards for those types of queries, that's a new feature. Google My Business has launched new performance reports. It's kind of hard to get to. You kind of have to search for your business. Then you have to click on this promote button. And when you click on the promote button, you can then click on performance, and then they'll get this new report that shows you based on a different date range compared to other date ranges, how you're performing in Google My Business. So it's another report on top of the Google Insights reports that you could actually access to see stuff. Also on the Google local side, Google's showing this awkward map listing, this awkward screenshot of a map in the local panel. I don't like it. I can replicate it. I'm not sure why it's there. It just seems out of place. Here's a screenshot of it so you can see it yourself. Google Ads Performance Planner added things around new features. So specifically, they added shared budgets, shared access. So you could share budgets across multiple campaigns. You could share access across multiple people for these performance planners. And it also supports tracking conversion delays in those performance planners. So you actually get all that in there. Google Ads also added new access controls. So they added a new group called billing level. So if you want to just give your finance department access to the billing side, you could do that. And they also actually added an account owner access level, which is only available for one user. Microsoft Advertising released a new Microsoft Advertising Editor, version 11.28. It's now available for download for Mac and PC. Some of the new features there include associate your audience with campaigns, use recommendations to enhance your campaigns, more advanced search filters and some updates to the UI. So definitely take a look at that. Bing now allows free listings in their Bing shopping campaigns, just like Google started announcing that, but it's only in the Bing shopping tab, and it's all the way at the footer. Really hard to find. But if you want to get your products listed there for free, you can. Google launched this a while back. And Google is going to provide a new conference, a virtual Webmaster conference, not the Unconference that we talked about last week, which sold out within a couple hours, and a lot of SEOs are upset they didn't get into it. But because of that, because they were only able to fit like 20, 30, or 40 people per session, and it was sold out so quickly, Google's going to say we're going to give a formal virtual Webmaster conference later on in the year that I think will be available to unlimited people. So that is really exciting, and looking forward to that as well. In any event, thank you so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. Hope you enjoyed the background this week. Let me know if you want a different background. Feel free to comment, subscribe, like, and let me know what you think about these videos. Everyone have a great weekend. Be safe, and I'll see you guys next. Bye-bye.